So given that I've made a movie about the best movies of 2015, it only really seems fitting that I make another video which I dedicate to the truly awful pieces of shit that came out last year. And oh boy did we get some rubbish in those 12 months. I rearranged this list so many times it fascinates me. And obviously I didn't see every single movie that came out in 2015, I'll put a brief list in the description below of all the critically panned movies that I never saw. And by critically panned I mean those that were despised by Jeremy Jahns, Chris Duckman, Flitpick and Schmozno. Also I pretty much just ranked these 10 movies based on which ones I would rather watch if I had a gun pointed to my head. Because trust me, they were horrendously bad in some cases. So, without further ado, let's get started. These are my top 10 worst movies of 2015. Coming in at number 10 is the movie that proved for all eternity that horror movies should never get sequels, and that, my friends, would be Sinister II. I said at the end for my review for The Man from U.N.C.L.E. that I was really looking forward to watching this because of my love for the first movie, but this one just fell flat on its head. It got rid of everything that we loved about Sinister and just went down the Saw franchise route and turned all of the sequels into nothing more than torture porn. Bring that in with some annoying jump scares and an arsehole boyfriend who's pretty much just the male version of Dolores Umbridge, and you've got your really shitty horror sequel right there. This movie was produced by the guy who's directing Doctor Strange. I'm seriously thinking Marvel may have made a terrible choice here. I have more in common with a dog than I do with you. I love dogs. I've always loved dogs. Those are my really shitty Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis impressions, everybody, because fittingly enough, in at number 9 we have a really shitty science fiction movie, and that's Jupiter Ascending. This has by far some of the worst acting I've seen all year, and Eddie Redmayne's performance as Balaam Abrasax will forever go down in history, where he gave a voice where he sounded like King Ramses from Courage the Cowardly Dog, and then suddenly he exploded at the top of his voice! What the hell happened? You had the Wachowskis, the people who directed The Matrix. You had an attempt at an original story, but it just ended up stealing other plot elements from other movies. I think I pretty much just lost count of every single film it stole from. You know, like these ones. Coming up next is a movie which I don't really remember that much of, however I do remember enough of it to put it at this spot in the list, because, well, let's face it guys, this was one of the most forgettable movies of the year, and that's We Are Your Friends. We Are Your Friends looked very intriguing every time I saw it in theatres. It looked very different to most other movies that I saw that year, and the film made the good parts of the trailer boring and the other 93 minutes even more boring, which in turn makes you understand why this movie made less than $10 million at the box office. I'm not kidding, I saw this in an empty screen so I could make fun of it as loudly as I wanted, and at one point you even had cinema staff members coming in to see if anyone was actually watching it, and they just saw me with a confused look on my face because I wasn't exactly sure what the hell I was watching. Zac Efron, please find something decent to be in the future, otherwise you're just gonna end up washed up and forgotten like a one-hit wonder of the 1990s. Coming in at number 7 is probably one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen since I watched The Room for the first time, and that is Pixels. A movie about Earth getting invaded by retro 1980s video games? That sounds amazing. Having Pac-Man run through the streets of New York City? That's amazing. Having Adam Sandler being cast in the movie? That sounds like a great idea, right? Right? No. No! God, no! This movie relies on the ridiculous premise that no one in the US Army, no one who works in the White House, or anyone who works in any division of the United States government has ever played a video game in their entire life, so they call upon this average Joe to save the world for them. And Kevin James as President of the United States, Jesus Christ! Electing George Bush twice would have been a better decision than that. Oh well, at least he'd still be a better president than Donald Trump. Do you want to see Reese Witherspoon drag around the female version of Nails on a Chalkboard, I mean Sofia Vergara, for 90 minutes? Then watch Hot Pursuit. You'll still be wishing you never saw it in the fucking first place. This was just a failure from beginning to end. It tries to pass itself off as a comedy, and it did make me laugh. For all the wrong reasons. There's a scene in the movie where Vergara and Witherspoon are trying to act as if they're lesbians to try and distract a guy working on a ranch, and he supposedly finds this hot. However, it just passes off as something that's really awkward and cringy, and you wish you were clawing your own eyes out whilst watching it. And Vergara's voice as well just made me want to take the DVD out and split it in half. She talks like this. Oh my gosh, you're such an annoying voice. Ah, get your arm off of me. Ah! Yeah, that's right folks. I have this on DVD. Do you want proof? Do you want some fucking proof? Here it is. I paid real money for this. I could easily just say 2 words before cutting to number 4 and that would be it, because the moment I say them you know what's coming. And those 2 words would be Vince Vaughn. Why? Because in at number 5 is Unfinished Business. A comedy movie that's so bad it made me want to switch off my computer and throw it outside because I was so afraid it may give it a virus. It's nothing but sex and fart humour for 90 minutes. Tagged along by terrible acting from Dave Franco and the fact that they dragged along Nick Frost into this movie, those are simply just 2 of the reasons why Unfinished Business made less than half of how much it cost to make. Seriously, this movie made $14 million on a $35 million budget. Yay, another found footage horror movie with dumb and annoying teenagers getting killed off one by one! Yeah! Could this get any worse? Well, it did, with the latest entry in the cinematic genocide that is The Gallows. Can we just see the death of found footage already? Because we're getting them more than superhero movies. Seriously, we haven't had a good one since Wreck and Paranormal Activity. I don't think I saw a movie this year with more annoying characters than this one. The first 30 minutes are spent with a complete and utter douchebag harassing everyone he sees within his eyesight. Also, there is no reason for a school to bring back a play which was cancelled because one student got hanged in front of an entire audience including children. Why would they do that? And how many jump scares are in this? That could be a very suspenseful scene where you might actually be thinking, oh my god, this movie's actually trying to scare me for once. Then suddenly, boo, you're scared. And you just stay there pissed off because the film had a very good chance at spooking you, and it failed dramatically. The most entertaining part about seeing this in the cinema, however, was the fact that about 5 rows back, you had one guy who fell asleep because of how boring it actually was. I could hear him snoring from the front. It was the most enjoyable part of it, and it wasn't even in the goddamn movie. Number 3 is a movie that made me feel sorry for those who went to see it because I, along with them, saw the biggest cinematic failure of 2015, and that is Pan. This movie did to Peter Pan what Tim Burton did to Alice in Wonderland, which is take everything that made the original stories good, such as the vibrant colour and the joy of exploring a brand new world, and get rid of all of that, and just replace it with a political revolution story. From the moment they all start singing Smells Like Teen Spirit and Blitzkrieg Pop, I already knew this was going to be on the list. This is one of the movies that I had to catch up on when I was making this video. I was watching this in my room at 10 o'clock at night and I checked to see how much of the movie was still left at that point. And it said that the movie was only 15 minutes in. I was going to switch off the movie and watch something completely different, but I decided to keep on watching it because I didn't think it could get any worse from there. I was wrong. It got even worse. Up next in number 2 is hopefully the final installment in a horror movie franchise that I wish would just finally die already, and that is Paranormal Activity: The Ghost Dimension. Like I said with The Gallows, can we all just agree that found footage needs to die in a fire? Because we're getting way too many of them. At least the first 5 entries in this franchise creeped me out a little bit, because I still felt a nearby presence from the demon who in the movies we never actually got to see. It added to the mystery element of it. As a result, even the sequels had a redeeming quality to them no matter how much I hated them. But this time, we get to see it up close. Everything that was scary about the franchise is now gone. Top that off with some lazy, unnecessary jump scares, and you've now got the worst installment ever in the Paranormal Activity franchise, and possibly one of the worst found footage movies I've ever seen. I'm not joking around here, there were teenagers, and I do mean teenagers here, sitting behind me who were genuinely scared by the demon. Why? It looks like a see-through version of Ditto from Pokemon, and oddly enough, I find Pokemon to be scarier than this piece of shit. Okay, so before I announce my worst movie of 2015, I want to give a special shout out to some movies that I really didn't like, as well as some of those that really disappointed me. The Lazarus Effect, a movie about people trying to bring others back from the dead and has seriously bad ramifications. Never seen that before! I was going to spare it from bringing it up in the video, but one thing sealed it for me, and that was the ending. If you want to watch this for yourself, go ahead, you'll understand what I mean by that. Because frankly, I have nothing else to say about it. Jurassic World. There are so many things wrong with this, despite the last 20 minutes being pure gold and being absolutely awesome. It's filled with annoying characters and the logic that somehow you could run faster than Usain Bolt in high heels away from a T-Rex. There's a shot that's even zoomed in on the high heels themselves. It knows that she is somehow running away from it in those shoes. I really hope the sequels improve on this because this was a massive disappointment. Mordecai, the first movie I ever reviewed on here. Johnny Depp playing an over-the-top eccentric cartoonish version of himself. And to be honest, that's pretty much all you really need to know. Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials. I don't care what anyone else says, I really liked Maze Runner. But this one just dragged on and on and on. It turned into a coherent mess of a plot. It jumped the shark about 20 minutes in and from there, it just got worse. So before I announce my pick for the worst movie of 2015, I want to give a special shout out to one more film what I like to call my letdown mention. This goes to the movie which I was really excited about, I saw it in the theatres, and I was confused as to what the hell I was actually seeing. And that, my friends, goes to Spectre. I will proudly say that I absolutely adore Skyform. So when I saw this in October, I had nothing but excitement in me. And what I did see was a complete mess of an action film. There were unnecessary plot points that were edited in there just to be there, and it wasted Christoph Waltz's talent. It was either this or Jurassic World to be my letdown mention this year. And if there's anything that this taught me, it's that hype can kill a potentially brilliant film. Alright guys, here we are. The worst movie of 2015. The creme de la creme, the worst of the worst, and the movie that blew my mind at how bad it actually was. Now I saw this with only 5 other people in the screen, and it showed that nothing more this year pissed me off more, made me angrier, and made me want to yell at the screen more than motherfucking Fant 4-Stick. I'm still not calling it Fantastic Four, it's still not worthy of the title. In bad movies I always try to find something redeeming about them, but this time, no. There wasn't a single thing about it that was actually good in the possible slightest, and the last 10 minutes of this film is probably the worst action sequence I've seen in my entire life. It was a disaster from beginning to end, and it proved we are not going to get another Fantastic Four movie for a very long time. You could tell how horribly made this was as well. They had to reshoot this at times because you could tell that Kate Mara's hair somehow magically changed in length between alternating shots. The special effects were even worse as well, especially in the third act, and Victor Von Doom still looks like Bender Rodriguez put a condom on his head. Thankfully Kate Mara managed to redeem herself in The Martian, and Michael B. Jordan redeemed himself with Creed, but other than that there will never be a single solitary tiny little thing about this that was good in any way whatsoever. And that is why Fant 4-Stick is the worst movie of 2015. Alright guys, there you have it. The 10 movies in the last 12 months that pissed me off the most. Frankly, after making this video, I'm just glad we're getting Deadpool in a couple of weeks, because frankly, I'm going to need something refreshing after talking about these god-awful movies for the last 10 or so minutes. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below what your personal worst movies of the year were, and other than that, I've been Tartarus Pictures, and I will see you later. Good night.